So I would say we have evidence that taxpayers' money of Japan is being used to purchase the support and influence and vote of our officials, and we think it's disgraceful. We think the people of Japan should not be allowing their tax money to be used as bribes to poor countries that definitely could benefit from properly managed and directed development assistance in areas of agriculture, energy, housing, transport. But none of these areas are being invested in by ODA, because all Japan seems to want from us is our vote at the IWC.
That's kind of interesting, and that sounds familiar to me, because there are a lot of those happening within Japan itself still. And I think the reason Japan does those things outside is because they do it inside. That's just a comment. So I go to this third question. Many people seem to be interested in how the people of Dominica supports your stand. How they did it then, and how do they think about your stance now? And are there any kind of threats to you because of your very clear decision, very clear presentation of your position?
It's very interesting, that question, because it's an issue my wife and I discuss very often. When I first resigned, the reaction was as follows. Of course, the environmental movement and so on was very supportive and encouraging. But you know, even people who didn't support the environmental movement supported my resignation because it was on a matter of principle. And for me, that was of equal, if not greater importance as far as this process is concerned. That there were people who still realized that it is possible to have good, honest government if officials acted according to principle and stood by principle. And that lesson was very important for the country. But there were two other reactions. People said to me, oh, you should not be in politics. People like, you should not be in politics, you're too honest to be in politics. You see the problem. And then the other one, which is very interesting, is that the people in tourism, the dive boats and the whale watchers, initially, they very quietly supported what I had done, but over the years they have become much more vocal. And this year, for the first time, we're seeing tourism officials publicly disagreeing with the position of governments who are supporting the Japanese at the IWC, because there are tour operators and travel agents who are not going to send visitors to our countries because we are acting in a manner that is against environmentally sound management. So the connection between a conservation approach to the whales and other resources is now an economic issue. And that, I believe, is really what is going to make the final difference on this matter. On the question of threats, my life has been threatened so many times for so many, actions that we have taken that, frankly, it is not something I worry about anymore. It troubles my wife quite a lot, but But I think we have to stand up for what we believe, and it's just what we have to do. We cannot give up our principles and values, because frankly it's about our children and grandchildren. We must leave a better place for the children. Otherwise, what's the point? So the life threats don't bother me anymore.
Thank you. Yeah, that sounds familiar as well. We as Greenpeace Japan receives phone calls and just tell us die after every newspaper and TV exposures of whaling campaign. Okay, the fourth question is you told us about the fisheries facilities, those two words, and Japan built them. And how are they being used?
Well, first of all, the first of the two complexes is built in the capital city of Roseau, where there's absolutely no fishing taking place. But it's just a big building, and believe you me, the flag of Japan is flying on that building. That's the building right here. It's a 2-story building, and the top floor is used for offices by the Fisheries Division of Dominica. And the ground floor is used for retailing of fish there in the building. And the other thing that it's used for is to make ice. And the ice is actually used to supply dances and festivals and parties. And the refrigeration units are used to store imported chicken. So here you have a fisheries complex promoting the importation of other kinds of meat and the selling of ice for parties.